And that brings us up to our final segment of the day. Guys, I'm joined by David Berry and Matt Faye. I'm Josh Criswell. David, we introduced the fans a little bit of something last week, something that we've all been a part of for a while, but introduced it on a national level last week, and that gave everyone a little taste of Southland shenanigans. This week, we have a little bit of something new for everyone out there. Why don't you tell us what we got coming up, David?
Sure. Well, in short, we're going to be your FCS matchmaker. Right now, the FBS season just ended with the college football playoff national championship, but football is getting ready to start now. Less than a month until the very first game when McNeese plays up at Tarleton. So what we want to do is, if you don't have a team, or if you have an FBS team but you're looking for an FCS team, or if you don't have a college team, or your team didn't have college football, like, hey, I went to grad school at DePaul, so did Josh. We didn't have a team to root for up there. But what we're gonna do is basically, it's find you an FCS team. So basically, what we're gonna do, you can tweet us. You can tweet bet_FCS. I'm at Berry the Lead. We got Item Criswell. I forget what's yours, Matt. I see it all the time, but I forget.
Oh, come on now. at Matt G. Faye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was something I was gonna forget. I was just gonna say Matt Faye, but I was gonna forget the G. But no. So what we're gonna do, tweet at us, or like I say, put hashtag #BetTheFCS, and I'll say subscribe, rate, review us, and in the review, along with telling us how great the podcast is, tell us why what type of team you're looking for. Like, if you were to go on a dating profile, if you were to put your dating video up,
Are you making our FCS Tinder profile right now, David?
Pretty much, But yeah, so you'd say, you would describe, like, all right, hey, I'm from the Northeast. I like teams that pass the ball, or stuff like that. Hey, we'll find you a team. So that's what we want to do, because we want the FCS to get its just due this spring. There's no other college football, so we want this. The FCS gives you a really good brand of football, and these teams deserve some more attention. Then obviously it's tough in the fall when you're competing against the FBS and the NFL. So now there's nothing else. There's no high school football most places. There's no NFL. There's no FBS. So we're gonna do the little hookup thing. We're gonna hook you up with your FCS tenderoni.
I'll go ahead and start us off then. If you're, if you're looking for something from the Midwest, a little bit exciting, a little bit of dynamic there, but also some substance, I got the perfect one for you, and that's Northern Iowa. And let me tell you why. Sam threw a little bit of a wet blanket on my pick during our interview with him earlier, talking about why they aren't a team to watch for the national title. But I'm going to tell you why they're an exciting team to follow this season nonetheless. Reason number one, the elite defense, which, as it turns out, has lost quite a few pieces via the transfer portal, but nonetheless brings back some very solid players, and also just a team that is consistently one of those better defensive teams in the FCS. Reason number two, you got a quarterback coming back, a guy in Will McElvain, who as a freshman last year had over 3,000 total yards, 21 touchdowns. Really seems like he's poised for a breakout season with all eyes on the FCS this spring. But reason number one why I'm telling you to follow UNI this season is Isaiah Weston, one of the most electric players in all of college football. Forget FCS, FBS. Now, he is one of the best players in the entire country whenever you get the ball in his hands. He can take it to the house any single time. Just an absolutely electric athlete. a fun team to watch. But I will give you an honorable mention, and the only reason why they're not probably my number one pick is because this season, obviously, they're not eligible for the postseason, I don't believe. But a long-term FCS pick, if you're looking more for the long haul, looking to stick around, I'm telling you to go to McNeese. McNeese, you have a young coach in Frank Wilson coming back home to Louisiana, kind of invigorating a program that Sterling Gilbert, not going to say left in shambles, but kind of left and just left them with a year of what do we do? Head coach in and out the door before a calendar year can even pass. So a little bit of a turnaround there. Obviously had the hurricane recently, but they're just a team to get behind. Like a story, everybody I meet at McNeese, seems to just be great, genuine people, a fun fan base, covering the Southland Conference. They're the only fan base that really gives me that big time college football feel. And honestly, moving forward, if you're looking for an FCS team beyond this year, guys, tell me if I'm wrong, but they're set up to absolutely dominate the Southland Conference moving forward, it looks like.
Yeah, sorry. I know Matt can speak to this too, but the Southland, as will be constructed in fall of 2021 going forward, assuming they don't add anybody yet, it'll be them, and I would like to say probably Nichols. I don't, because I know Nichols will probably still be pretty good. I know, was it Lindsey Scott, the quarterback? He'll be there. So I think McNeese will be one of the contenders. Frank Wilson's bringing in a ton of FBS talent. He's lost a fair amount of FBS talent, but he's replacing it with FBS talent as well. And in the fall, yeah, they're gonna be really, really good. So yeah, I think it'll be them and Nichols kind of going back and forth title coming up.
Yeah, for sure. The Southland is going to be McNeese's conference to lose for the foreseeable future. I think on the football side, I know Nichols is a good program and has had some success here in recent years. But yeah, I agree with pretty much what you guys said. But I'm not here to talk about how good McNeese is. I'm here to tell you about another team. Now, we're talking about teams to follow in the FCS this year if you're looking to adopt a team, right? So what are you looking for? You're looking for a team that, for me, fun football means winning and scoring a heck of a lot of points. So I think a team that is set up to do both of those this season is going to be a team that I also picked on this podcast to make a run to the national title. That's the Villanova Wildcats. I'm on them again. I'm sorry, I'm lame, but I'm gonna stay on them. Okay, you got Daniel Smith.
That Pennsylvania bias, man.
I gotta stick to my state. Even though that's on the opposite side of the state in Philadelphia. We don't really talk about Philly too much from Pittsburgh, but I'll give them some love this time. So with Villanova though, you got a team. I mentioned the high-powered offense. They're gonna have Daniel Smith back at quarterback, threw for almost 4,000 yards last year. You got Justin Covington, who's leading the FCS in rushing before he got hurt last year. So that offense is going to be absolutely electric. They're a team that, like I said, I think they're going to make a deep run. So you're not going to be out of the playoffs early. I think they're going to make the playoffs, obviously, but. And then, you're not going to be called a bandwagon team either. Villanova is a good team, but they're not like North Dakota State or somebody like that. So you're not going to be a bandwagon fan. I think the Wildcats can be fun to watch this year.
I don't know what's more surprising, my recent trend of giving props to Stephen F. Austin or the Pittsburgh guy continuously giving love to Philly on the Bet the FCS podcast.
Seriously.
Listen, I try to keep the fans on their toes, all right?
There we go.
I thought he was gonna go with Duquesne or something like that. Go with that Go with that Pittsburgh love.
That's another fun one too. Robert Morris,
Yeah. So I have 3 schools I'm going for. 2 are grouped together, and then the other one is by itself. So the first 2 that I'm going to go with are, if you're looking for schools that are, they're brand new to the FCS. So if you're looking for somebody basically building up from the very bottom, as far as the conference goes, and that's Dixie State and Tarleton State. You've got two teams that are, they're going to be in the WAC, the new conference. I think they obviously, I wouldn't plan on seeing them succeed right away, just because you're going to be going into a conference with some teams that are just more experienced, have a little more talent, just because of how the scholarships go and the experience. But Tarleton's in the state of Texas. They're going to be able to get kids just because of being in Texas, and with those teams, those are the type of teams that you jump on now, so that if they do end up having success, even if it's not this year, you may end up thinking about, hey, let's see how they're doing, even if it's 2, 3, 4 years from now. So I definitely, those two schools, they give you some different regions, kind of just like how the WAC will be. You get kind of the mountain West Coast-ish type of team in Dixie State. Side note, really weird that they're named Dixie State in Utah, but that's for another.
I think they're undergoing a name change, if I'm not mistaken.
I hope so. That's for a whole nother type of thing. But and in Tarleton, you're in Texas, so you got you just have good variety with them. I think you can't go wrong if you pick one of those teams and kind of ride with them through what I'm assuming they will be their struggles. The other one, I think, is probably one of the most obvious as far as picking a team that is there probably isn't a more talked about FCS team right now, and that's Jackson State. I mean, Deion Sanders going there, talking a big game, which is not surprising because it's Deion Sanders. Getting a lot of highly touted recruits. Got some that have kind of, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds as far as the recruiting, but they say they flipped a couple kids from FBS schools, and they've gotten FBS transfers in. There's going to be a lot of hype with Jackson State. I mean, a ton of hype with Jackson State. So going forward, I don't know how long the Deion Sanders experiment will last, but if you're looking for a team that has a lot of hype on field, you don't have to worry about off field, because you've got the Sonic Boom of the South, one of the best marching bands in the country. You've got a huge fan base. Jackson State, one of the teams with the highest attendance in the FCS on an annual basis. You've got, the fan base is there. You've got history as far as Hall of Fame players. I think Jackson State is one of those. That's one of the teams that a lot of people are jumping on right now, because of the Deion Sanders thing makes them popular. Now they still have to go through teams like Alcorn and Southern to actually, they still have to prove it on the field. But if you're talking about just a sexy team to root for starting now, I would definitely say Jackson State is that.
Yeah, Jackson State, they are an exciting team. And like you mentioned, I don't think there's a more talked about team in FCS football, at least from just kind of the mainstream perspective of things. But like you mentioned too, I think they're a team that might have a lot of hype, might have a lot of excitement, but I don't even think that they're a top 2, maybe not even top 3 contender within their own conference. I think a team you mentioned, Alcorn's obviously really solid, Southern as well. So I think there's a lot of teams, as far as the HBCUs go, that I think, yes, Jackson State has the big name with Deion Sanders, but I think you can make the argument that there's a lot more exciting, just from a football perspective, teams to watch than Jackson State at that level.
For sure. Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman, very good. They're transitioning from the MEAC to the SWAC. North Carolina A&T, I believe they moved from the MEAC to the Big South, I want to say. So and those are probably some of the top HBCU teams in the FCS. So yeah, those are definitely. And the thing about it is you pretty much never have to worry about the other, like, hey, does this team? Hey, all those teams have good bands, but yes, the on-field product is great. Florida A&M, they're definitely building under Willie Simmons, but yeah, you got a lot of different choices. There's teams we didn't even touch on a lot of teams, but like
Maybe
I
we
say,
keep doing that, as we keep coming back to this, as people drop in, give us a review, drop your comments on which FCS team you're following, or maybe you just tell us the characteristics that you want, tell us what you're looking for in that perfect FCS match for you, and David Berry, matchmaker extraordinaire, will hook you up.
I will find you a team. Now, how they treat you after I hook you up with them, not my I can't hold any responsibility after that. I'm just the liaison.
Any last thoughts, Matt?
Only thing I'll say about Jackson State is that you're either gonna love following along with them or you're gonna hate following along with them with Deion Sanders. You're either gonna love hearing from him every day or you're gonna hate hearing from him every day. So pick and choose wisely, I guess.
And I think if you're jumping on the Jackson State bandwagon, I think it's safe to say that you're a Deion guy or girl.
Yes, 100%.
That's gotta be a beat writer's dream. Like, imagine being on the FC, imagine being at Jackson State, and when you find out
coming off of we're going to be in the middle of the pack in this next season.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden
boom.
It's like, oh, boom, Deion Sanders
in town.
Wow. So yeah, but no, we're gonna find you your team for this season and hopefully beyond.